jumping in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe here with Titanfall, and this is a title that I've been looking forward to probably since its E3 announcement. Now, before we get into the critique, a little about what you're going to see here. This is footage recorded from last night. I had my buddies Darren and Phil from No Guts, No Galaxy joining me, and we're of course a bunch of mech heads. We love armored combat in video games, and this was something that we definitely had to get our hands on. Now yes, this isn't just a mech game. It is combined arms. The infantry have to work with the Titans to succeed. But you take away the Titans, I'm not sure that there would be a game here. At least for me, I don't think it would hold my interest. Because really, it's science fiction. You've got some crazy cool parkour moves that, by the way, are really well done. The wall running and the jumping and the double jumping with the little jetpack that you have on your back. Very well done, easy to perform, lots of fun, and I think the most skilled players will learn to take advantage of these features. However, without the Titans, I just don't know if that would be enough to hold my interest. And honestly, you know, I really wouldn't expect it to. We're talking about a game that's built by a bunch of guys from Call of Duty backgrounds. You know, that's the titles that they used to make. They made some of the more well-known ones before they had that blow-up with Activision. Whatever, you know, they've made this new game and they're spicing it up a bit. They're adding some components that might attract other players, such as myself, and perhaps that's the key to success, is adding things that everyone can enjoy. For example, I find myself looking forward to calling in my Titan more often than not. It's just a joy to pilot one of those things. The animations and the sounds of their weapons going off definitely brings a smile to my face, and even when I lose my Titan, I then look forward to calling it in a second time if possible. It, in a way, makes you want to even be a better infantryman, because the more AI and players you eliminate, the faster your Titan timer goes, and I think that's a nice perk to add into the game. Now, you might be thinking, oh, are these Titans overpowered? Are they kind of like tanks in other games where you can't stop them unless you have a certain class? And no, not at all, because I think all of the classes have an anti-Titan weapon that you can use at range, and on top of that, everybody is able to jump on the back of the Titan from a rooftop, for example, open up its weak spot, shoot into it, and eliminate the Titan that way, which tells you something. You need to be playing as a team in this game. Your infantry needs to be supporting the Titans need to be supporting the infantry, because you got to be able to shoot these guys off the backs of the Titans and help each other out. It's a little difficult to stick together in a fast-paced game like this, but I think true experts will be able to pull it off. As for why there's a hatch on the back of the Titan that you can simply open up with a twist and a pull, I'm not sure. You'd think that they would want to lock that sucker down in this type of combat scenario. Obviously, it's just there as a gameplay element, and it's fun regardless. You won't see me have much luck with it in this video, but when you do pull it off, it is pretty satisfying. You do need to be careful though, because it does warn the pilot that there is somebody on top, and there's this cool sound effect. You can actually hear somebody land on the back of your Titan, and you really need to get a friend to shoot him off the back if you can, or you'll have to exit yourself and then shoot him off and then try to get back in your Titan, but by then it might be too late, so good luck with that. Now, let's talk about one of the more controversial aspects of the game, and it's the fact that they added artificial intelligence, or AI for short, into the multiplayer. A multiplayer-only game. There's no single-player campaign. For me, I generally hate AI in multiplayer. I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. I always feel like they're interfering with my fight against real players. In fact, usually they're dumb. They just get in the way. It's a waste of time. I hate it. Okay? In this, I thought that it would really hurt the game, and I couldn't have been more wrong. In fact, I feel like the AI adds to the game, and right now, currently, I wouldn't take them out of it, because when you jump into this multiplayer, you feel like you're part of a real combat mission. They drop in with you, they're on their voice comms, they're yelling out, they even acknowledge your presence. You run by them and it's like, good to see you, sir, could really use your help. And if you're in a Titan, they're like, alright, it's one of ours, let's back them up. And it gets so intense. You're like, I love these guys, I want to protect them. They're not that much of a threat. They don't really ever take you out, it feels like. I don't think I've ever been killed by the AI. You know, you get a couple of them that are anti-Titan. They'll try to fire their rockets at you if you're in a Titan. And the infantrymen are just mostly firing at each other. You know, they're doing battle with other AI. There's a couple times where I'd come into a building and I would see two people melee fighting each other. And I would realize, wait, those are two AI. So you would see your friendly AI maybe, you know, punching or kicking or even shotgun blasting the other AI point blank, like execution style. And it's like, holy crap, they've done a good job with this AI. And it really just adds to it. You feel like you're an officer on the battlefield and you're with your troops side by side. And I'm, again, as you can hear from me now talking to you, simply shocked what they were able to do with this AI. And, you know, I think that other games are probably going to take after this. I'm not saying that it's something that should be done with all titles, but this is a step in a different direction, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, at this point, you've heard me list off a few positives, and there might even be more once we get to the last Titan standing mode, but I do have to label a negative for me, and it's really not even that bad, but it's the choice to go with the Source engine for this game, and I really felt that since this was published by EA, that it should have gone with Frostbite. And I tried to dig deeper and figure out why this was the case. In one developer interview that is actually quite old at this point, they had stated that they chose Source because it worked well with PlayStation 3. Not 4, but 3. As you remember, PlayStation 3 was a difficult machine to program for due to its cell processing technology. And, well, obviously that's not the case anymore with PlayStation 4. In fact, apparently it's a little bit more difficult to program for Xbox than it is a PlayStation 4. But that was one thing that I heard. Another suggestion that was given to me by a friend was that it's possible that the developers were more comfortable with this type of engine. They had been working with Call of Duty engines for so many years, which are basically heavily modified Quake 2 engines, I believe. And the Source engine, I think, comes from a Quake background many moons ago. I could be wrong about some of this, so don't quote me on any of it. But it's possible that they were comfortable with what this offered, and that's what they chose. Now, obviously, this game isn't even available on any Sony platform, so if that excuse was true about them needing an engine that worked well with PlayStation 3, so much for that, I guess, huh? But right now, I can only assume that maybe Respawn Entertainment wasn't part of EA when they were developing this game. Maybe they were picked up mid-development. Or maybe it's true. Maybe they were just more comfortable with this engine. Maybe this is what they could get. Who knows? I just think that with Frostbite, we could see some amazing levolution. We could see the Titans causing some insane destruction. I mean, when these things get hit in the core, they go nuclear. It's like what used to happen in the old MechWarrior games. They called it stack polling, based on an author who created the idea, I guess. Thank you, Darren and Phil, for that information. And I always thought that that was the most amazing thing. I just thought it was so cool. And in this game, you see them get hit, this white flash of light, and boom, you eject. It's beautiful. I love when it happens. It's just so cool. It takes out everything next to it. And imagine if that happened and then all of a sudden half of a building is gone, or there's a giant crater in the ground. That's what the Frostbite engine can do. And it's a shame to not see that. And I'm not saying anything about player size or map size. I don't need the game to have 64 players. I don't need gigantic battlefield maps to have a good time. I'm just saying the other technologies that Frostbite provides, those would have greatly benefited this title, and I don't think that I could find a single person that would disagree with me unless they're going to give me some sort of technical explanation as to why it would be a bad idea. Okay, maybe the netcode could use some work. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't know how to program for it, whatever. But I'm just saying, I see a lot of missing opportunity, and I can only hope that this game does well and that Titanfall 2 is a Frostbite title. So since we're talking about engines, I suppose I could bring up something sort of related to the textures in this game. There's a setting titled Insane, and I can tell you that none of the textures in this game are deserving of the title Insane. At most, they're higher resolution, but yeah, I'm kind of just hoping that an extra set of textures have been left out of this beta to cut down on the file size. That's one explanation. Maybe when we get the game, install it from the launch copy, we'll have an extra set, and then, you know, I'll be really happy with that. Again, they're not really bad at all. This is just me trying to find things to be really, really picky about, okay? Obviously, most of the time you're fighting, you're in combat, you're not even noticing what's going on with the textures. But I'm just saying, if I were to really, really, truly nitpick, then yeah, texture resolution isn't phenomenal. You know, beyond that, a lot of the things I've been pretty happy with, and some I mentioned earlier in the video, you know, the animations, a lot of the aesthetics, the sound effects are just fantastic. There's a lot of weight to the sounds, especially when you hear the Titans walking around and turning around, moving, sprinting, you name it. They sound great. The explosions, the gunfire, ballistics in general, sound really, really nice. And so, I guess in the aesthetics department, I would probably just complain about texture resolution. So that's not bad, I guess, because I do enjoy the player models, the models of the Titans, the weapon models themselves. I love the design, the aesthetic. Whoever did the conceptualizing for this game, bravo. I love sci-fi. I love the look that they've gone with, and it just adds to the immersion. As you can see here, we're actually being given the chance to exfil, even though we lost the battle, for a few extra points. It's a nice little touch to the campaign multiplayer.
This is last Titan standing. Take out the enemy team. You've only got one shot at this.
So as you heard from the announcer there, this is the last Titan standing mode, where everybody starts out in a Titan and there are no respawns. Now, if you get knocked out of your Titan, if you're on foot, you can continue the fight, but you don't really count towards the final result. So let's say you've got one Titan left on the enemy team, time runs out and you're just infantry, that guy's going to win because he kept his Titan alive. On top of that, it calculates damage. So there aren't really any draws unless damage was equal. So let's say you have 2v2, 2 Titans versus 2 Titans at the end. Whatever team inflicted the most damage by the end of the match is going to be the winner. At least that's what it seems like so far. That's what happened to us in a match last night. Now here, this map we hadn't played before, so we're kind of getting used to it. We hadn't played it with the Titans at least. And so we were like, okay, well, let's try to find lanes of fire and areas to protect. We want to kind of keep in a hull down, or in this case, a torso down position, because again, you don't want to take too much damage. You've got your shield bar and then your health bar there, so you want to back off once your shields are depleting. So you can see we're hitting these guys in the flank. They're moving out on their own, attacking some of our other friendly Titans that we weren't on comms with. And, you know, it was working out pretty well. I think the experience from games like MechWarrior Online were paying off for me, Darren, and Phil. Really good at working together, coordinating tactics. And I'll say this about any game, always more fun with friends, and this was no different. And in Last Titan Standing, the pace is slowed down so much that it becomes way more tactical. And this map was a little bit better than the Angel City one. It was really tight, a lot of bottlenecks. And here we're just moving out. You can see there's a lot of infantry AI still involved, so you still get that cinematic feeling, that campaign multiplayer that they talk about so much. Now, for the most part, this map seems to work in an oval of sorts. You can kind of go around certain areas. There's a few interiors that your Titan can kind of pass through. You can see this guy on the left doing so right now. There might be an alleyway or bottleneck that you can also kind of maintain as well, but generally this is what we're probably going to see from most of these maps. I hope that there's something a little larger just to break things up a bit, maybe 1 or 2 bigger maps. I don't know if the Source engine is going to have an issue with larger terrain sizes. I'm, again, not a programmer. I don't know how things work. But I never see anybody take Source and make really nice, big, beautiful maps, so it would be nice to get like 1 or 2, you know. I'm hoping that there's a decent variety of maps, actually. I'm hoping that we launch with 10. I don't know the number. There hasn't been any confirmation. We don't know what other types of gameplay modes are involved. We don't know if there's any other small arms weapons or accessories. We don't know if there's any customization. Is it possible to host your own server or game? Can you set up the matches? Is there a hardcore mode? How would that mode work with Titans? You know, can you set up the amount of spawns? Those things you used to get all the time with titles, and as the years have gone by, I've noticed that fewer developers and publishers want to provide those things because they want you to just buy the sequel the next year. Now, the last Call of Duty game I played was Black Ops 2, and it had a lot of options for creating your own little custom games with hardcore modes and lethality and things like that, respawns, and I think that that's pretty cool that they offer that stuff still. It kind of reminds me of the old school PC games I grew up with that offered you tons and tons of options. I kind of hope that they follow suit and do something like that with Titanfall. It'd be really neat to be able to customize your own games, maybe set up tournaments and things like that. Is there a spectator mode, I wonder? That would be pretty cool, because you could probably see a lot of tourney-style stuff going on with this. That is the one thing I do have to hand to the newer COD games, is they have some really nice spectator and YouTube tools for us. It makes making montages and doing professional commentary a breeze, and I would love to see that with this game. So to sort of sum things up, I think this video's been pretty positive, and there's been a few negative areas, but nothing that really can't improve over time or even with a sequel. But really, should you go out and pre-order this title because of what you've seen here on Twitch or what you've played in the beta, whether it was closed or open? I would wait, honestly, and see what happens on launch, see how many maps and modes and things that there are in it, because right now this game's going to need a lot of maps to stay afloat, and they're going to need a constant infusion of content to keep it going, and that can be said for any shooter, you know. And there are people that can play these games and maps over and over and that never get sick of them. Those people, well, I envy you, because that's not me. Generally, a game these days, you know, I'm lucky if it lasts me a month because there's just not enough content. On top of that, I'm not a huge fan of games that aren't free-to-plays that think you need an unlock system. I get why free-to-plays do it, that's how they make their money, but if you're paying $60 up front for a game, everything should just be there for you. And you're thinking, well, that's too easy, you should have to progress and unlock things and take the time. But now see, you really shouldn't have to take that time. You know, you bust your ass to pay for these games, you come home from a hard day's work, everything should just be there for you. And you have to remember, I'm in my 30s, so my opinion might differ from that of newer generation gamers. You know, a lot of you might be growing up with titles where you're force-fed unlock systems all the time, and they're telling you that that's how you're supposed to have fun. When I'm talking about games in the 90s, mid-90s, and later, where they were either scattered around the map or you were just given them up front. And again, I know you're thinking that's the easy way out, but no, sir, you'd be wrong. Because they had to make up for it in other ways. It wasn't just about, well, how long can we keep this person around? Well, let's make an unlock or progression system. So that way they're going to spend hours upon hours of their life trying to get to something. And then, once they finally got it, we'll release something new. When we used to play Rainbow Six, Raven Shield, there would be 30 plus weapons just already there. And it was more about which weapon should you take for the specific level that you're in. MP5 needs something for close quarters, M16 maybe something for range. You had to decide and make those tactical decisions, and that was part of having the fun. You know, it came down to an even firefight between people who had all the unlocks already. It was about who was the better player, and not about who spent more time in the game. What would a SideStrafe video be without some ranting in it, right? That's your daily dose right there. But, you know, this game does have unlocks. It's just that they're not as apparent. I haven't felt like I've had to rely on them. I didn't jump into the game feeling like, ugh, I need a scope, I need a better gun. They give you some pre-made kits that have all those things. And the Titan, you start with, you know, this loadout here, and it's perfectly adequate. You can win the battles. There's plenty of ways to earn points, whether you're killing AI or completing objectives, taking territory. It's not that hard, especially when you're talking about a 6 versus 6 situation. It's not very difficult at all. And, you know, I haven't felt like within the 14 ranks that are available to me in this beta that it's been something where I feel like I'm grinding. So maybe they're heading in a better direction. Maybe it's some sort of compromise. Maybe it's them saying, okay, well, here's some unlocks, but for the most part, we've given you what you need to survive. And, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm good with compromise. It doesn't have to be my way or the highway. As long as a developer recognizes where their title needs to stand, especially when they're charging for it up front. So, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope that you've enjoyed my first impressions of the Titanfall beta. I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of this footage play out so that you can listen to the sound effects without me talking over it, as they really do add to the gameplay. But just to conclude, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Respawn Entertainment has up their sleeves. I'm sure that you'll see more Titanfall on my channel, especially if the release is good. Here's hoping. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining me. I will definitely see you on the next one.
Damage core online. Warning, multiple Titans engaging. Caution, you are outnumbered 2 to 1. Warning, damage core activated. You now have increased damage
what we came for. Awesome work, team. Mission accomplished.